The first episode of the 9-part She-Hulk Disney Plus series will premiere on August 17, 2022. And from the most recent trailer that dropped, during a scene that took place between Jennifer Walters, aka She-Hulk, and her law office partner Holden Holloway, something was mentioned that made this lawyer stand up and take notice, because yes, I'm a lawyer actually, because this legal issue is actually an important one going into the newest Disney Plus miniseries, and I'm arguing that the way the issue ends up being handled by Holloway could play into things moving forward, either over the course of season 1 of the series, or even moving forward into the Marvel Cinematic Universe proper. And we're going to talk about all of that right now. Welcome back to the Mama Saga, where this Marvel-loving mama is a mother by day, but breaks down comic book sagas, movies, and shows like She-Hulk by night. Before we go any further, to be fair, spoiler alert, there are spoilers in this video, so if you haven't watched all of the trailers by now for the She-Hulk Attorney at Law Disney Plus series yet, go back and check them out on YouTube, then you can come back and you'll enjoy this video more. Okay, so first let's identify the proper legal issue itself, which is She-Hulk's conflict of interest. In the second trailer that's been released by Marvel to date, it's revealed that Jennifer Walters is working at the law office of Goodman, Lieber, Kurtzberg, and Holloway. Now look, it's really great that Jennifer's boss, Holden Holloway, says that he wants She-Hulk to be the face of his new superhuman law division. It really is, and Jennifer looks like she's up to the task. Keeping all of this in mind, though, Jennifer is assigned to represent or defend the interests of Emil Yablonsky, also known as the Abomination. It seems, fortunately, that Emil is capable of controlling himself now so that he can change forms as need be, but he's stored in a special cell, nevertheless. In the trailer, it seems like Jennifer meets with her newly assigned client for a bit, but then she's seated in front of her partner, Mr. Holloway, and says specifically, "I have a serious conflict of interest. This man tried to kill my cousin Bruce." Meanwhile, Holloway says, "Yeah, that's quite all right." And Jennifer's all like, "Oh." Later, she tells Wong, "I'm a lawyer. We do things by the book." And what does the book say to us lawyers when it comes to us facing a potential conflict of interest, like that of Jennifer's with Emil Yablonsky? Well, first let's look at what conflict of interest really means in the law, in American jurisprudence anyway. And by the way, disclaimer, what I'm discussing in this video is not legal advice. It's merely legal issue spotting for entertainment purposes only, okay? Cool. Okay. So when a lawyer is faced with a conflict of interest, that typically means that an ethical problem has arisen between parties with a pre-existing relationship. So of course, Jennifer has a pre-existing relationship with her cousin Bruce Banner, aka the Hulk. And there is a pre-existing relationship between Bruce and Emil that most definitely resulted in those two going into green rage monster mode in the past and tearing up the city one building and one block at a time. And yes, during that battle, the Abomination most definitely attempted to kill the Hulk. So Jennifer's right, she has a potential conflict of interest on her hands. When an attorney is faced with a situation where that attorney cannot do justice to the active or potentially adverse interests of both parties, they can have a conflict of interest. Per Rule 1.71 of the Model Rule of Professional Conduct, as concerns current clients, loyalty and independent judgment are essential elements in the lawyer's relationship to a client. Concurrent conflicts of interest can arise from the lawyer's responsibilities to another client, a former client, or a third person, or from the lawyer's own interests. Well, Bruce Banner may very well have been a client of Goodman, Lieber, Kurtzberg, and Holloway in the past, and Jennifer Walters might have represented her cousin before. But even if she didn't, given their biological and personal relationship with one another, and the past history of the Hulk and the Abomination, it may not be appropriate for her to represent Emil Yablonsky now. So now we have to be concerned with what She-Hulk should do. If this were real life, according to the Model Rule of Professional Conduct 1.72, resolution of a conflict of interest problem under this rule requires a lawyer to 1. Clearly identify the client or clients. 2. Determine whether a conflict of interest exists. 3. Decide whether the representation may be undertaken despite the existence of a conflict, i.e. whether the conflict is consentable. And 4, if so, consult with the clients affected under paragraph A and obtain their informed consent, confirmed in writing. So, depending upon how things play out in the series, believe it or not, Jennifer Walters might be able to represent Emil Yablonsky after all. Per the Model Rule of Professional Conduct, to determine whether a conflict of interest exists, a lawyer should adopt reasonable procedures appropriate for the size and type of firm and practice to determine in both litigation and non-litigation matters the persons and issues involved. So in real life anyway, if Jennifer and her legal partner Holden determine that they can get assigned consent from Bruce and or Emil, saying that they don't have a problem with Jennifer representing Emil for whatever he's being sued for or whatever he has to defend against, well, she can represent Emil. Now, in real life, Holden would automatically hear what Jennifer said in the trailer and likely make the determination that it's not fair to Emil to have Jennifer represent him, and, there's more than one attorney at the firm. Even if Holden himself had to represent Emil, that would probably be the best thing to do, even if the particular fact pattern involved in the lawsuit against the Abomination had nothing to do with the Hulk. But it seems clear that Holden doesn't seem to be concerned. Maybe there's more to the facts and circumstances that would legitimately lend itself to his seeming nonchalant about the whole matter, especially if he brings up to Jennifer that Emil can give her informed consent to her representation or continued representation of his interests. Or maybe Holden's trying to set poor She-Hulk attorney-at-law up for a fall. What? Look, if you missed my recent video entitled Who Does She-Hulk Work For?, then you should check it out, because Holden Holloway is just part of a very interesting backstory that might come into play in season 1 of this Disney Plus miniseries, and you don't want to miss any possible nuance, because it could all play into what happens in the MCU moving forward. The Mama Saga post-credit scene. Make sure that you check out the many live streams I've done this week covering everything Marvel that was discussed at the San Diego Comic-Con 2022. And if you've got any opinions or questions, put them in the comments below the corresponding videos from the live stream replays. I always read my comments. And you've got to subscribe to this channel. There's a lot going on every single week here. Anyway, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok and subscribe to the Mama Saga for more comic book saga breakdowns, Salty Mama style. Thanks for watching, take care, and see you next time.